A jet is attempting to take off in an airport when the police open fire on it. As the jet approaches a collision, Franklin can see his life flashing before his eyes, and knows they are about to crash. Under the moniker Remedy, he is a tech blogger, who focuses on reaching optimum health. Beside him sits Sig, the proprietor of a pharmaceutical business, who manufactured a drug while knowing it was extremely deadly and addictive, resulting in thousands of fatalities. All of this began 3 months ago. In an attempt to secure an interview with Anton, a health and technology expert, who has been researching ways to achieve optimal health without the use of medication, Franklin accepts a job as a ticket taker for a special event. Franklin, regrettably, arrives late and makes a poor impression, so he misses the complete explanation of why he needs to scan people's tri-bands in order to verify their tickets. Franklin's co-worker Jala defends him after he makes a mistake while scanning, and the two strike into a conversation after receiving a severe reprimand from his employer. Franklin approaches Jala for a date when they truly click, but she doesn't give him her number. Instead, she puts up an alert on his phone for when he has to leave the presentation. Franklin couldn't afford the ticket, so he hurried to the restroom and met Andy, who had stolen and hacked a tri-band from his boss to let Franklin attend the lecture. Franklin uses this band to get past the security personnel at the backstage door in time to witness Anton and his enigmatic helper Ingram enter. Franklin tries to conceal himself behind the drapes, but Anton discovers him and queries who and why. Franklin notes that Anton has a beautiful ring on his finger as he appears to be speaking with his helper. Franklin's tri-band isn't his, Anton surmises as well, but he tells him to stay and enjoy the show. After that, Renee and Calvert, who appear quite somber and awkward, are the only people not cheering for Anton as he enters the stage. Talking about his creation, the tri-band, Anton opens the presentation. Wearing a bracelet around their wrists, it tracks their physiological patterns in order to decipher their DNA and provide a personalized health plan for each user. Moreover, it provides alerts that serve as reminders for what, when, and how much to exercise. But Anton has big news today. He created the tri-band 5, which can automatically make the user enjoy practicing healthy habits without the need for reminders. It should also eliminate the need for medications, such as those for high blood pressure, diabetes, and even addiction. A taser is used by one of the guards at the backstage door to knock out the other, and he then dashes toward the stage, running into Franklin in the process. The guard points his gun in the air and claims that Anton's company is in charge of everyone, but Franklin strikes him with a rolling table just in time, giving the other guards a chance to apprehend the man. Although this development upsets Renee and Calvert, Anton thanks Franklin for his assistance and informs him that he will have the interview later. Anton advises Franklin to inspect his wounded hand before he leaves. Franklin then has his hand bandaged, and his tri-band is taken by the head of security as proof. As the man walks away, Franklin takes up his phone to hear Jala's alarm and discovers Anton's ring on the floor. Franklin examines the ring more closely, and when he touches the stone, he finds himself replaying what happened just now. Franklin discovers the ring once more. Jala's alarm sounds, and the security chief repeats himself. Before heading out to the dinner, Franklin, feeling anxious and afraid, covers the ring with his bandage. He glances at the ring once more as he waits for Jala, and when the waitress comes to see how he's doing, she taps the ring, causing the time to restart. Franklin attempts to use the ring again after checking the time on his phone, but the stone has become white and needs time to recharge. He keeps the ring away from the waitress when she returns. Then, using the stopwatch on his phone, he conducts another test and finds that the ring can return for precisely 57 seconds. Jala shows up at the precise moment, and they decide to head somewhere lovely. During their date, Franklin finds out that Jala is an artist. As they converse and grow closer, he tells her about his work producing pieces on the impact of technology on health and exchange, some of which have even been printed in newspapers. Franklin is kissed by Jala out of the blue, and they end up visiting his unkempt apartment. When things get a little too flirtatious, Jala wants to go because she thinks he has a girlfriend after seeing a woman's purse in his closet. Before Jala can see the purse, Franklin quickly turns back time and shuts the closet, but when she sees the woman's image, she tries to leave once more. Before bringing Jala to his bed, Franklin uses the ring to turn back time and conceal the picture in handbag. Now that things are getting serious, Franklin fulfills Jala's dirty request before she even asks, giving him the impression of a fantastic lover. Renee and Calvert see their boss, Sig, first thing the following morning. Questioning whether the attack had been a publicity stunt, he gives Calvert the order to follow Franklin in search of information. Additionally, as Sig will no longer be able to make money if the new Tri-Ban prevents people from taking their medications. He wants Renee to research the new Tri-Ban and find a means to disprove it. Franklin and Jala are enjoying breakfast together, when all of a sudden Franklin's car is towed, and Calvert is secretly watching. Franklin tries to stop it with the ring, but he can't move quickly enough. As a result, he needs to acquire enough money to get his automobile back. Franklin gets an idea after watching a TV advertisement. He goes to a casino and starts using his ring to win every time. Before long, he's raking in big bucks and drawing notice from everyone, even Calvert, who thinks it's strange. After he has enough money, Franklin figures he can keep earning more money and purchases a gorgeous new automobile. He goes back to the casino and wins more money, but the employees attack him as he attempts to leave. Franklin instantly turns back time, attempts to blend in, and even decides to leave the money behind. But the boys are always after him and viciously attack him in the parking lot. They believe Franklin is cheating and attempt to force him to confess, but Calvert shows up and calls them out at that same moment. The staff then lets Franklin leave after warning him not to return. Franklin declines Calvert's invitation to lunch after he tries to force him to reveal how he accomplished it, saying he was simply fortunate. Franklin declines Calvert's invitation to meet Sig after he learns that Sig is the one responsible for the medication that has been murdering thousands of people. Nevertheless, Calvert chooses to give him his card. When Jala visits Franklin later, she is shocked to see that he has purchased new furniture to give his place a much nicer appearance. Franklin ultimately explains himself when she uses his computer and finds a wallpaper of a woman. It's his twin sister, who passed away from OD 4 years ago. She became addicted after taking Sig's medication, after being in an automobile accident. Under his own identity, Franklin writes serious stories for the newspaper, but on his blog, he goes by the moniker Remedy, and criticizes unscrupulous businesses like Sig's. Franklin admits that he has purchased a large quantity of painting supplies for Jala, who compliments him on his heroism, and swears to preserve his secret. Franklin receives a call from Anton indicating he's prepared for the interview just as the pair is preparing to take a spin in the new vehicle. To be exact, Ingram is there to pick him up already. Franklin receives to try bands from Anton for him, and Jala as he arrives at the workplace. Then they discuss Anton's idea, and he clarifies that his goal is to completely eradicate medicine. In order to accomplish this goal of preventing not just diseases, but also accidents, Anton intends to employ a unique material that contains quantum particles. He advises Franklin to pursue his sense of fairness as he concludes the session. Later on in the evening, Franklin questions whether or not to agree to meet with Sig in an attempt to force him to confess to his crime. Jala advises him to go ahead and do it. When Calvert presents Sig to Franklin the following day, Franklin smacks Sig in the face and mentions his sister right away. Then he goes back in time and talks to Sig about his work while acting like he respects him. After telling Sig about Franklin's success at the casino, Calvert wants to place a wager. If Franklin can predict what will happen after he whistles, he will give him $100,000 for each article Franklin writes endorsing his business. He will write 5 articles for half his present pay if he fails. Franklin agrees and assumes a dog would arrive, but as soon as Sig whistles, one of his models shows up to offer him a massage and a kiss. Franklin, however, turns time travel backward and makes the right assumption, landing him a new job. Following Franklin's departure, Sig says he wants to keep Franklin close since he believes Anton must be behind this. When Franklin sees Jala in the evening, she remarks that this job would be selling out. Franklin clarifies, though, that all he's asking for is Sig's trust so he can access his files and expose the business. Jala accepts his proposal right away after he shows her his sister's ring, and swears he will spend the money for bettering their lives. The following day, in a cunning move to avoid having to write a ton of glowing stories, Franklin offers Sig the job of organizing a large-scale event-style piece to rebrand the company in a few months. Franklin receives his own office in the home after Sig approves of the concept. One of the models approaches him when he's by himself, but Franklin quickly tells her that he's taken. Sig, who is spying on Franklin in an effort to gather material for blackmail, is irritated by this. He instructs Calvert and Renee to devise a fresh strategy to figure out how Franklin pulls off his ruse. Franklin and Jala soon relocate to a stunning home, in order to begin a new life. Under the pretext of corporate policy, Sig forces them to leave Tri-Bands behind when he invites them on a trip to Miami aboard his private jet. However, he believes Anton helps Franklin get around the rule. When the group arrives at a casino, Franklin uses the ring to win again, but neither security nor Sig are able to find any signs of wrongdoing. In an attempt to elicit information from Jala, Renee befriends her, but Jala is ignorant. Later, as Franklin and Jala are dancing, He hides the ring in his pocket after realizing with shock that Ingram is seeing them. A short while later, when the party is enjoying some drinks, a man unexpectedly walks up to them and starts shooting to exact revenge on Sig for the fatalities he caused. After Jala is also shot, Franklin takes his ring and instantly turns back time. Franklin uses a bottle to the man's head to halt him when he approaches them once more. Franklin learns that he is being referred to as a hero by media outlets when they get home, and Jala concurs. Franklin makes a commitment to attend her next art display, when she also reminds him of it. Franklin discovers he knows the attacker when the new cast unexpectedly exposes who he is. The shooter's wife used to work for Sig, and one day, she simply turned up dead at the office, but no one in the media reported on it. The man says they should look into the company since they're blackmailing everyone when he appears on the screen. Franklin claims he has to clean up that narrative as well, and asks Renee for the dead woman's file the next day. Renee hurries to alert Sig after promising to investigate. Franklin's perceived staged nature stems from Calvert's belief that both of Franklin's attacks were intended to discredit him. Franklin finds the file empty when Sig presents it to him with a strategy in mind. Sig gives Franklin another gift in exchange for Franklin's assistance in identifying all of the issues in his company, and places the responsibility on Renee's incompetence. The two are in an out-of-town tavern a short while later. After giving Franklin his car and sharing a few pictures with him, Sig leads Franklin upstairs to an area where several women are waiting. Franklin tries to decline, but at that point he understands his drink has been tampered with and is powerless to stop them. Sig records the entire encounter as the women pull him in for a little fun. It is the middle of the night when Franklin awakens. When he returns home quickly in the new vehicle, he finds Anton there, apparently the buyer of every piece of art Jala has created. Jala can now lash out at Franklin for missing her event and returning with an alcoholic stench. When Anton teases her about working for Sig and walks away, the two get into an argument about the ethics of Franklin's work, and she tries to leave when Franklin notices that she is enjoying the money he is making. Franklin pursues her, and during their battle, they unintentionally fall into the pool. He fixes it by rapidly going back in time. Jala senses that something strange has happened as they resurface inside the house, and Franklin understands that anyone who touches him at that moment would also recall the rewind. After hearing Franklin's explanation of how it works, Jala realizes he's been using the ring on her as well because that's how he's always known what to say or do. Franklin realizes it's time to end things after Jala leaves, believing their relationship is a fiction. Franklin shows up to Renee's house the following day with a gun, and demanding to know her safe combination. She cries out for assistance right away, so Franklin backtracks and tries again. This time, he touches something on her desk by mistake, hurting himself and leading him to unintentionally shoot her. He covers her lips and forces her to write down the combination after another rewind. He then resets and attempts the numbers on the safe, only to find out it was a phony number. Enraged, Franklin rewinds once more and places a cushion in Renee's lap, in an attempt to shoot her leg and force her to tell him the genuine combination. After yet another reset, he tries the number and it works. He then rewinds and informs Renee that he would be spending the afternoon at his office. Franklin then waits for Renee to depart before breaking into the safe and stealing every piece of evidence. After a crucial basketball game, Andy is asked to assist Franklin in posting all of the proof of Sig's crimes online. However, Andy is hesitant to do so because he could lose his job. But when Andy receives a large payment from Franklin into his account, he accepts right away. The following day, Franklin prepares to leave town, but is unable to get through to Jala when he calls. When the game does begin, Andy shows the presentation Franklin made, which is simultaneously being shown to all news channels on the large screens. Security footage of Calvert killing the shooter's wife is seen in the movie. It also explains how the wife was killed because she was aware of the truth regarding Sig's medication. Franklin tries to leave his house while everything is being seen by the world, but he passes out before he can get into the automobile. A short while later, Franklin awakens in an airport, where Sig tells him to inform everyone that his video was a hoax, and guards lead him in the direction of the private jet. When Franklin continues to refuse to comply, Sig then admits that he has also abducted Jala. Jala tells him she's proud of what he done as they are pressed together, and Franklin begs her to use the ring. Jala runs toward the approaching police cars after touching the stone and stepping on the guard's foot to flee. After Franklin is shoved aboard the aircraft, it takes off and soars above the cops as they are being fired at. When the engine starts to fail due to a bullet, Calvert tries to land, but Sig instructs him to press on. As Franklin muses over what to do with the ring, Sig touches him unexpectedly, and time travels backward. Sig attempts resetting the ring a few times, after realizing its capabilities in an attempt to stop the plane from collapsing. but his 57-second window is insufficient to stop the bullet from striking the engine. Franklin grinned, not giving a damn if that meant Sig perished. When Sig reaches Calvert in a frantic attempt to get him to turn around, the plane crashes and it's too late. The police and Jala show up at the crash scene a little while later. Although Renee, Calvert, and Franklin had survived the disaster, the plane explodes with Sig inside it as soon as they take off. Soon after, Anton and his helper also appear, and they disclose that Franklin was the ideal person to test the ring, which is why Ingram intentionally gave it to him. As it turns out, Anton wants Franklin to work for him, since the ring is composed of the quantum crystals he found. Franklin, however, declines, claiming that the ring's power is hazardous, and just as addicting as Sig's medication. Franklin tosses the ring on the ground, destroying it, even if Anton still wants it. After doing some math, Ingram says to Anton that the offer is still valid since he needs someone who can turn him down. This startles Ingram. Franklin declines once more, returning the tri-bands to Anton, and he departs with Jala to start a new life, without the need of this strange technology.